Let's talk about butlering for a moment, and about Paul Burrell in particular. You will lie for me when I am king. That's how he frames the moment a future monarch allegedly demanded complicity, and then the book thrown, the door slammed, the cry of "Get out!" Unmistakable, he says. I would say unfortunate for all the wrong reasons. The trouble for Mr. Burrell is simple. He trades in indiscretion while pretending to curate memory, and he says he wrote his latest trash in response to Harry's indiscreet memoir Spare. And I suspect the cause and effect are reversed. Burrell probably inspired Spare. What a dreadful man.
We need to talk about the original sin of the modern royal tell-all, because the story we've been sold is wrong. We're told Prince Harry's Spare was a bomb dropped on the palace, a revolutionary act. But what if the bomb was built, the fuse was lit, and the instruction manual was written by a butler? I want to give full credit to an academic who nailed it with one perfect phrase, Professor Tim Wilson. He called Paul Burrell, Princess Diana's former servant, the major domo of indiscretion. Let's be clear. Paul Burrell isn't a footnote in this story. He's the blueprint. He's the godfather of spilling the royal tea while pretending to curate the china. And tonight we're exposing the playbook. Professor Tim Wilson coined the term the major domo of indiscretion. Traditionally, a major domo is the trusted chief steward. By adding indiscretion, Wilson highlights the irony. Paul Burrell, once Diana's trusted insider, became the master of revelation. The major domo of indiscretion turns proximity into power, curating private lives for public consumption. Burrell became the first and most influential major domo of indiscretion. First, let's dismantle the myth of chronology. The narrative says, Harry's Spare is the Big Bang, and everyone else just follows. Professor Wilson flips that. Paul Burrell didn't follow Spare. He inspired it. He was doing the dirty work decades before Harry ever picked up a ghostwriter. Look at the timeline. Burrell's first book, A Royal Duty, dropped in 2003. It wasn't a memoir, it was a demolition job using intimacy as the wrecking ball. He gave us Diana's private letters, her secret fears, the contents of her wardrobe. He built the very business model of royal revelation that Harry would later adopt. Harry didn't break the mould. He inherited it from his mother's so-called rock. Before Spare, the first major royal tell-all was Paul Burrell's A Royal Duty in 2003. Burrell's book revealed intimate details of Diana's life, selling millions and making him the authority on the real Diana. He became a fixture on TV, always with new anecdotes, and kept Diana's story alive. The path Harry walked was paved by his mother's butler, Burrell, the original architect of the royal tell-all. Burrell's success followed a calculated three-step method, a blueprint for turning private service into profit. Step 1. Establish unwavering devotion as an alibi. Burrell claimed loyalty, not betrayal, framing disclosures as acts of love. Step 2. Rebrand private intimacy as public history. Personal moments became historical records, giving his stories weight. Step 3. Pretend to curate a memory while selling it piece by piece. He presented himself as Diana's guardian, but monetized her legacy. This formula, devotion as alibi, intimacy as history, selling as curating, preemptively answered criticism. How can you accuse betrayal when he claims love? Dismiss gossip when it's history? Burrell perfected this method, creating a resilient template for monetizing royal proximity. The blueprint was set: loyalty as a shield, secrets as currency. Others would follow, but Burrell wrote the playbook. The three-step con became the standard for royal revelations. The Burrell blueprint endures. When Prince Harry released Spare, it seemed unprecedented, a prince revealing family secrets. But the structure and justification echoed Burrell's blueprint. Step 1. Devotion as an alibi. Harry framed his book as an act of love and necessity, not revenge. He claimed to honour his mother, protect his wife, and set the record straight. Step 2. Rebranding private moments as history. Personal stories became evidence in a larger argument about the institution and the press. The private became political, the personal became historical. Step 3. Curating memory for profit. Harry presented Spare as his definitive story, but it was also a massive commercial deal. Like Burrell, Harry turned his life into a global commodity. The scale was different, but the mechanism was the same. A commercial act presented as personal preservation. Harry walked a path first cleared by his mother's butler. The playbook was familiar, even if the player was royal. The Burrell method had gone mainstream. Paul Burrell is more than a footnote. He's the architect of royal exposure. He proved palace walls could be breached by a servant with a story to sell. His legacy isn't just the secrets, but the model of telling them. Burrell created a demand for insider details and spent years supplying it. The more he revealed, the more the public wanted, shaping media coverage of the royals. His greatest innovation was commercializing Diana's story under the guise of protection. This made later revelations, like Spare, seem inevitable. If a butler could define a princess's narrative, surely a son could define his own. Burrell's disclosures created a vacuum Harry felt compelled to fill. The butler's story made the prince's story possible. Burrell was not a passive observer, but an agent of change. He built a career on broken trust, forever altering the House of Windsor. Professor Wilson's term is so perfect because a major domo isn't just a servant. He's the head of the household staff. He manages the entire operation. And Burrell? He manages the operation of indiscretion. He industrialized it. He professionalized it. He is the architect of the modern tell-all, a performance where the teller pretends to be a reluctant priest at the altar of memory, all while the cash register rings with every blessed, devastating revelation. So yes, Professor Tim Wilson was absolutely right. Paul Burrell is the major domo of indiscretion, the man who mistakes memory for merchandise. He didn't protect Diana's story, he commercialized it. He didn't inspire Spare, he necessitated it. His trade is intimacy, sold wholesale, disguised as history. And as long as people like him exist, the real story of Diana, of Harry, of Meghan, of the human beings behind the headlines, will always risk being rewritten by those who profit most from their pain. But on this channel, we see through the act. We honour truth, not transaction. We remember without selling remembrance. I'm Adrian, and this has been Meghan and Harry Tales. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because telling the truth about the Sussexes and about the people who exploited their story matters.